What is up, guys? Eric here from Real Film Reviews, bringing you another movie review, this time for the new Jonah Hill film, Mid90s. Mid90s is Jonah Hill's directorial and writing debut of a film, stars Sonny Suljic, Na-kel Smith, and Lucas Hedges. This film sort of just tells the story of a kid who wants to be a skateboarder. He really likes skateboarding, he thinks it's cool, so he buys his brother's old, really trash skateboard off of him, and then he goes and starts to hang out at a skate shop in his neighborhood to try to become friends with the kids that all hang out there because he thinks they're so cool and he thinks this is such a cool thing. And then basically once he befriends them, they all just kind of hang out together and do stuff, and that's the movie. There really isn't anything else to the plot. That's it. Now, that's really all that this film is. It's just sort of this story of a kid living out his day-to-day life. And obviously, it's interesting. Things go on. They go do things. You get fun moments. There's funny bits. There's all kinds of stuff. But this film almost feels like an old-school, neo-realism film. There's no general reason for why we're seeing what we're seeing. We're just watching the plot play out. And obviously, it's not full neo-realism because there's more dramatic things inserted into the story than just a day-to-day life of this kid. We obviously are getting to see more dramatic moments over the course of his time hanging out with them, but it has that sort of feeling where there's no justifiable end to this story once it starts. Even Bo Burnham's 8th Grade that came out earlier this year, very small, low-budget film just like this one that's just about a kid's life. Except for in that one, there is a starting point to the film, and then there is a reasonable end point that we know is coming. Where in this film, there really isn't. It just sort of plays out until it decides to conclude. All the performances in this movie are really good. Sonny Suljic gives a great performance in this movie. I haven't really seen him in much else, but I did really like him in this film. He gives a really solid child's performance. Unsurprisingly, Lucas Hedges is fantastic. He's slowly becoming just this massive indie darling who I think has a very long career ahead of him with how talented he is. And then surprisingly, I think the person who I liked the most in the film was Na-kel Smith, who plays Ray, who's sort of like the leader of the sort of group of friends that Sonny goes to start hang out with. And he has so many really great moments in this film. He has one just absolutely breathtaking scene with Sonny Suljic in the film where they're just sitting outside talking, and it's just fantastic. That scene with them talking is genuinely one of my favorite scenes of the year so far, I think. And the fact that the two people in it are two people who have really not been in almost anything else. Na-kel Smith isn't even technically an actor. He's a skateboarder for Supreme who took this role in this film, and he is just so great in it. It's crazy how good he is. And then the rest of the cast is really funny. They all add something else to the story, and I think that that's so great about this film. It makes it feel like they're a real group of friends who all hang out. They all know each other, but they're all very different in a lot of ways. The writing in this film is also really great. It doesn't hold back to try to conform to today's standards for what speech, I guess, should be in terms of the way people talk, because there are a lot of words and phrases used throughout this film that you would almost never hear in a movie nowadays, especially not to the sheer number of times that they're used in this film. But I think that because of that, it gives you the true vibe of what this group of people was like back in the 90s. These skateboarders with crass mouths who did and said whatever the hell they wanted to, and I just really loved that because it adds comedy to the film, but it also adds realism to it. There's a character in this film whose name is literally fuck shit, because every time he sees something dope, he just goes, oh, fuck shit, that was dope. And that's so cool that they were able to incorporate something like that to make the film feel that much more real and make these characters feel even more fleshed out. This movie is honestly just a love letter to sort of finding out who you are in the strangest of places. It's showcasing that youth and revolt, while annoying for parents, is also so important for these kids, especially in that time period, for them to find out who they are and where they belonged and why they felt that they belonged there. This movie was honestly an extremely impressive freshman outing for Jonah Hill. My only real issue with this film is something fairly small that only happens a few times throughout the film, but it's sort of some shoddy camera work that happens. There's a very important manner in which conversations should be filmed in a movie, and obviously you can break that if you want to in some new way, but there were And when I say a couple, I literally mean only like 2 or 3 times in this film, where there was some cinematography that didn't establish a scene, and we would be given shots of characters, and it was a little confusing as to where they were in terms of where we were even at in the film and what was being shot, because they never established anything. And I think that you could sort of chalk that up to this being Jonah Hill's first ever directed film. You know, there's going to be a couple little technical issues, but it was very small and only happened a few times. I'm gonna give Mid90s an A-. I really loved this movie. It's only an hour and 25 minutes long, so if you have a free hour 45 and there's a showing near you, go check this movie out. It's kind of hard to find. It was literally in my town for 3 days, and I was lucky enough to catch it in that 3-day span that it was here, and I'm so happy that I did, because this movie was so good, and especially as someone who always dreamed of skateboarding and who has always sort of idolized skateboarding but never been able to do it, I thought that this movie was so cool to see, because that's sort of what the main character is as well. Well guys, as always, I'm Eric. If you enjoyed this video, please do like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of Mid90s, share everything we do here on Real Film Reviews, and I hope to see you guys later.